A very good evening. Thank you very much for choosing GHOne TV. My name is Kweku. Well, every evening we bring you the latest happenings throughout the country. Tonight is no exceptions as we will nail it, bringing you up to speed on all the latest happenings, especially with politics taking center stage. But don't you forget that we'll also be updating you from our world of business, and we'll bring you some sports updates as well. So yes, be my guest within the next 1 hour as we share all these details and many more with you. But before we do so, let's look at some of the top stories that we have for you tonight. Coming up in the next 60 minutes, multiple sources and research reports that Energy Minister Matthew Opoku Prempeh is ahead of other contenders in who becomes Dr. Bawumia's running mate. Members of Ghana's parliament expressed fears that the siege of the Kenyan parliament by protesters may happen in the country if government does not take steps to deal with the economic challenges the country is currently facing.
We need to begin to have a national conversation around the 1992 Constitution. And for me, the term that sticks out is Article 78(1). If we can address that and amend it or repeal it completely, it will enhance, it will make Parliament's hands strong, because then we come here as legislators. We don't come here eyeing.
Also ahead, minority questions motive of majority leader. That's a Federal Mark's constant claim that they are against the yet to be laid free SHS bill. Tonight we get you more on education.
You is here with us. We share the video with you, then you can hear for yourself what the Vice President said. That he is saying that we do not need any law to regulate free senior high school, but rather, we need commitment. And this is the video.
What is required is a commitment and a political will.
Tonight we'll bring you updates from our world of business, and here in business, plastic manufacturers threaten to shut down operations if the Ghana Revenue Authority does not stop the 5% excise tax on locally manufactured plastic products. Tonight we want to get you more details about why they think this tax will affect them.
This tax is obnoxious and retrogressive. We ask GRA to stop the harassment of plastic manufacturers, and we give government 1 week to respond to our request.
Tonight we have these and many other interesting stories making the 1 hour bulletin. Be my guest, stay with us as we share all the details and more with you. My name is Kweku. Alright, so thank you very much for choosing GHOne TV. Tonight we start with Insight, and Insight is proudly brought to you by Pepsodent. With Pepsodent, every smile matters. Alright, so tonight on Insight, our focus is on running mate for the MPP flag bearer. Speculations continue as to who will run with the MPP flag bearer, Dr. Bawumia, in the December 2024 presidential elections. Well, despite names of other persons, including the Chief of Staff, Frema Akosua Opare, Education Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku, amongst others, coming up, multiple sources are claiming that Dr. Bawumia on Tuesday night presented the name of Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh as his choice of a running mate. Well, GHOne TV understands the name will be presented to members of the Council of the governing MPP for affirmation. But what will Bawumia Opoku Bawumia Opoku Prempeh ticket mean to the chances of the governing party on December 7th? My colleague Ibrahim Al-Hassan is the head of the political desk here at GHOne TV, and he joins me for a conversation on this. Ibrahim, thank you very much. I'm grateful for your time tonight. Yes, a lot coming up. Education Minister, in fact, the market women in other places calling for more pie. Now, I'm just torn in between. Who is that choice being made, and what's the conversation surrounding it?
Well, so let's look at how we got here, because this has been a long time coming. The vice president got elected as the flag bearer of the MPP months ago. In fact, per the dictates of the constitution of the party, he ought to have named his running mate months ago. Of course, he appeared before the National Council of the party, National Council of Elders, and then pleaded with the council through the NEC as well, National Executive Committee, to waive that provision in the constitution, to give him leverage, to take time to set for a suitable running mate. In fact, what we understand is that as of the last time he appeared before the National Council, he had two names. One that was flatly rejected by the National Council, and then he subsequently pleaded for more time to settle on one. The reason why it's taking us this while to get to know who is partnering Bawumia comes with many nuances. You mentioned some of the names, so the names have been money. At the point, every month we're getting one more name joining the race.
Take your time, break it down for me.
Yes.
Even the two names. Yes. All the details.
Yes. So first of all, as for Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, whom we will return to, his name had always been part of this equation. From Parliament, where I report from the Ashanti caucus as well in Parliament, and also in the political space within the governing NPP. But of course, another name that came up prominently is the current Education Minister. In fact, who served as a Deputy Education Minister under Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. I'm talking about Dr. Osei Educhum. Educhum was tipped favorably by some within certain quarters in the party because they felt he's more calmer. He didn't come with a lot of baggage. Again, here is an education minister who had lived abroad for a while, new to the political terrain, but had been able to rise from the deputy ministerial status to a substantive minister. Again, if you look at the choice of John Mahama, who is an educationist, they were looking at like for like. So that's the trump card for Dr. Osei Educhum. And then you look at the fact that from day one, the search had been narrowed to just one region, and that's the Ashanti region. So names like Akusha Fremopare came in whenever the gender card was put on the table. Names like Esilowu Ekufo, the current communications minister, came up again on the gender card. Again, Nato Siado, who is a common fund, this is Assembly Common Fund administrator. Even though that name came in belatedly, the push has been vociferous. The maneuverings and then the lobbying and then the stories projecting her have been vociferous. Again, I mentioned Esilowu Ekufo. So let me go back to why I told you that the naming of the running mate of Dr. Bawumia had become much more protracted and, if you like, a headache to the vice president. Because even now, as we speak, we are unable to definitely tell you that it is Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, because the vice president has had to, or the flag bearer of the MPP has had to have a meeting with his boss. That's call it a meeting between the driver and the mate. And
obviously not to discuss sales, but who will come after.
Exactly. That's a good one. And as to whether how much has been made after the day's work. No, this is about succession plan and who best to help the flag bearer succeed the boss, President Akufo-Addo. The delay had also been because there were disagreements. I told you earlier that about two names were presented. I can confidently tell you that one of the names was Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, the energy minister and member of parliament for Mensia South.
Okay.
There were disagreements. And those disagreements did not come from just nobodies within the party. Even the president.
Why?
The president had reasons per our sources. Now, the president's argument is that politically, is that a prudent decision to take, where your vice president obviously is louder than the president? No, everybody knows that Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh is loud politically.
Absolutely.
That could be an advantage for him. But if you look at the trajectory since 1992, no presidential candidate has ever gone for a running mate louder than him.
You would want somebody who's more calmer, who will work behind you.
When you become too loud,
he
will then push you to quieten you slowly. Not when you are calmer, he then becomes too loud that you, the boss, will have to be calming your mate down. So
does Napo look like somebody you can actually keep calm?
That's a good question.
He's a wildcat already.
Exactly. So these are the permutations. That's one. The other one had got to do with the interest behind the Napo campaign. See, recently, GHOne Japan joined the campaign trail in the Ashanti region. I can tell you on authority that one of the demands on the table for that to happen is for Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh to be made running mate to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Because on record, GHOne Japan, since he lost, had said he wanted nothing to do with the 2024 NPP campaign. He said it on record. Again, he was not going to contribute a penny. Not
yes, all of a sudden there's a twist, there's a change. And even some party members are wondering, what changed?
This is what changed. There's a demand. And see, GHOne Japan has never shied away from indicating that his choice is Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. Even when he was in the race to become the flag bearer, there were other individuals within the party who incurred his wrath, and he called them out publicly. But he mentioned Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh's name with love and said even though he's not in his camp, he doesn't disrespect him. He shows him respect. And so what we understand is happening is GHOne Japan saying that Napo should be the running mate to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. The interest is not only from GHOne Japan. No. If you go to the national hierarchy of the party, national executives, I can tell you that Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh commands the support of about 80% of the current national leaders of the ruling NPP. Now, mind you, many of these leaders are within the kitchen cabinet of the flag bearer of the party, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Okay.
So their voices are voices of weight. Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh had been preparing for today and this moment a very long time ago. In politics, that's what you do.
But let's remind our viewers that in your analysis, and I'll solely keep it with you, you're like, number one is actually not also for this.
Exactly, and that's why nobody is able to say emphatically and categorically that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, the NPP flag bearer, has chosen Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh as the running mate. You know why? Because that was why there was a meeting today. This meeting was to present a name. The president can reject that name. Again, if there's certainty, the presentation should have been done before the National Council of the party, which has the constitutional right to either agree or disagree.
What's number one routine for then, if it's not Matthew Opoku Prempeh?
One of them is late now, and that is John Kuma. John Kuma, yes, former member of parliament for Ejoso, and then former deputy finance minister, was a compromise choice. Not too ambitious, not too loud, and not out there, but still from the Ashanti region, which fits the search description. And then, so that's one. Two will be the member of parliament for Kweku and first deputy speaker, Joseph Osei-Usu.
Oh, his name has come up also.
Exactly. Who's a lawyer. So at the point, the president had him on his list as to those that should partner Bawumia to go into December 7. Unfortunately, Joseph Osei-Usu on record had said, even in my one engagement I had with him, that he had no interest in partnering Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. That was part of the reasons why it had become difficult to galvanize support for him. Again, the reason why he said he had no interest was that he felt the majority leader then and Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Osei Mensah Bonsu, was equally in the race. So he felt if Osei Mensah Bonsu was in the race...
Why do I go in there?
So when he realized that he had become the president's choice, it was a little too late. The other one, of course, is that the vice president is also looking at what happens after December 7, finally.
I'm having to end it now, so I'll give you 30 seconds to mention all the interests very fast.
Yes, the vice president will have to look other beyond December 7, 2024, right? Assuming the vice president doesn't win, what will be the opportunity for him to come again and again and again, like his boss did before clinching the ultimate? If he picks a running mate who is ambitious, would that running mate be able to wait patiently for them to come as partners as many times as the party will allow before they clinch the ultimate, or that running mate will overtake him and then assume the reign of leadership of the party? These are the permutations. So like I said, we await the final decision from the Council of Elders, and finally we had an apostle in there, of course, Apostle Opoku Prempeh. Many had said that he had said no, he actually wanted it. Pentecost as a church wanted it, but then when the meetings were done, it was concluded that no, he had not delivered the cathedral promise.
The Pentecost in there. Ibrahim Alasan, thank you very much. We're grateful for your time, and you can always trust I'll be joining us with all the analysis from Parliament. Well, we'll quickly want to look at other stories, but before that, we would want to say this would end Insight for tonight, but it will not end the conversation. We definitely will be coming back with some more. Insight is proudly brought to you by Pepsodent. With Pepsodent, every smile matters. All right, so we will just want in Ghana back here, we want the minority to share their thoughts on it. Obviously, they are not too happy, and they are calling that we should look at what happened in Kenya, because there's a possibility that a similar thing can happen here. Let's listen to the minority in Ghana's parliament.
Commiserate with the people of Kenya for the loss of lives. They didn't have to lose human beings because your people are unhappy with the decision that you have taken. But I'm hoping that they will heal from this going forward. It's a problem that democracy seems not to be working as we expected, and only because of entrenched positions and refusing to listen to the same people who give us power. I recall vividly campaigning throughout my constituency, and every time I'm coming into the chamber, some of those images come back to me, that I'm here only because they chose my word against the other contestants. So it guides what I say and do in this place. It is my hope that leaders of Africa, current leaders, will wake up and smell the coffee. Your people are not happy with you, and showing bravado and I can and you can't is not the way to go.
Little things sometimes we overlook, or sometimes we think someone is not paying attention, who spark unrest in this country. Parliament, and as a parliamentarian, I feel very indicted that so far we don't seem to be living up to the expectation of the generality of the Ghanaian. You said it right. There was no reason why our colleagues on the other side should not have supported us, so that we didn't have to be saddled with the E-levy. There was no reason apart from partisan reason. And this country cannot be run on partisan basis. I mean, I get to Parliament and I'm told that government is paying my salary and I'm here to do government work. So what it tells us that once we get here, we are government. And so we can reduce the level of our partisanship so we can get this country working. I hold a strong conviction that the state of our current parliament is not strong enough to protect the Ghanaian who votes for us to come and represent. Why do I say that? You get here, and Article 78(1) of the 1992 Constitution says the president must take the majority of his ministers from parliament. That already weakens parliament. So you cannot, by any stretch, blame us the individuals in the chamber. But our 1992 Constitution seems to be impacting on the work.
All right, so give me room still more in Parliament as the minority in Parliament has questioned the motive of the majority leader, Alexander Afenyo-Markin, for constantly claiming the NDC MPs are against the yet-to-be-introduced free SHS bill. Well, the Futu MP on Tuesday for the obtained time asked the minority to clarify its position on the bill, arguing its spokesperson on education, that's Peter Norchu, had publicly stated his opposition for such a legislation.
To have accused the NDC minority for not supporting free senior high school bill. Ladies and gentlemen, let me put on record that there is no such bill before Parliament. We are hearing from him for the first time that the government is considering a bill to be presented to Parliament called the Free Senior High School Bill. But as we speak, there is no bill before Parliament. It is important for us to reiterate that we cannot oppose a bill that we have not seen. We cannot. And we have said it nowhere that we are going to oppose such a bill. We are rather urging the MPP to rather hurry up in presenting such a bill to Parliament. That is it. Our position is simple. The NDC minority will at all times support any legislation that will seek to improve and sustain the free senior high school policy.
Well, Member of Parliament for North Tongue Samuel Okujetura Blakwa responded to the dismissal of his objection against the Constitution of the Court of Appeal. Well, he spoke to my colleague Mutala Inusa in court earlier today.
Glad that the appeal on the contempt case has been dismissed by the appeals court. It appears that this is the only country where somebody who has engaged in a double identity scam will be wasting the time of members of parliament who are carrying out their constitutional mandate of oversight. That's all we are doing. That's all we are doing. And is this a fair price to pay for carrying out your constitutional mandate? And have you noticed that he never comes to court? He never comes to court. We have work to do. We have parliament to go to. We have parliamentary committees. We have our constituents to take care of. We have other constitutional obligations as members of parliament. And he keeps filing appeals upon appeals upon appeals when the matters are very clear. You have lost in the lower courts. Judges have been very, very decisive in their decisions. We were only carrying out our mandate to scrutinize expenditures of the National Cathedral project, and we discovered payments made in another name, only to find out that it is the same person, Reverend Victor Kusigwati, Kwabno Edu Jemfi. And we have adduced evidence to that effect. We have not been mischievous, we have not been malicious, we are only carrying out our constitutional mandate. Unless people think that we are elected to go to parliament and be a rubber stamp whatever state institutions bring to us, we don't scrutinize, we don't do due diligence, and we allow payments to go through. So that is what we are elected to do. That is what the Constitution says we should do. We do our job, and we are subjected to all of this harassment.
Allow me to stay in court as the Court of Appeal has struck out Kwabena Edu Jemfi alias Reverend Victor Kusibuate's appeal seeking a reversal of the High Court's dismissal of a contempt case against Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa. Well, the court has also awarded a cost of some 3,000 Ghana cedis against the Secretary to the Board of Trustees of the National Cathedral over the failed attempt. Well, the panel of three, chaired by Judicial Secretary Justice Cynthia Pamela A. Krante, said the grounds of appeal to not comply with the rules of the court as required. Well, the panel, which also comprised Justice Efiase Wasare Botri, Justice Kweku Teria Aka Boafo, also ruled that the impairing ground of appeal filed do not comply with the rules of appeal. Okudzeto Ablakwa spoke with the media after the proceedings.
Our position on that is that we will respect the decision of the courts, even though we have noticed a consistent pattern where panels are being changed, and you have read very lucid and insightful opinions about that. The recent one by Professor Kweku, who has said that this abuse of the discretionary power of the Chief Justice to be changing panels in the last minute, to be reconstituting these panels, raises fundamental issues about the fairness and the delivery of justice in an impartial and blind manner, as justice should manifestly be seen to be done. So we will respect the decision, even though we are unhappy with it, and we still are not convinced as to why the panel was so, curiously reconstituted in the last hour. I hope so. That is our expectation.
Do you expect a different outcome with regards to the human rights issue that will be determined by the same court? What do you expect?
We have always carried out our work diligently, in good faith, with facts, with evidence, and we have shared all the documents, the outcomes of our parliamentary oversight with you. Nothing has been a figment of our imagination or a concoction. We are only doing our constitutional mandate. That's why people elect us to parliament. We must earn our keep. We must justify our inclusion in that house. And that's all we are doing. And it's not the first time opposition MPs are carrying out their constitutional mandate or due diligence. So why should we be subjected to this? Why should we pay this price? And the person rather, ask yourself, if it was you or if it was me, who it has been proven that you have engaged in this double identity scam, will he be walking a free man and pursuing us, filing all kinds of cases, preventing us from doing our job? That's the question that the good people of this country should be asking. Are we all equal before the law?
Well, tonight, allow me to appreciate Bill's Microcredit for making it possible for me to bring you all the business news. Of course, if you're looking for a loan, don't look elsewhere. Bells is ready to provide that loan. All you need is your Ghana card. Now to the details. Well, the Ghana Plastic Manufacturers Association, I'm talking about the GPMA, has issued an ultimatum to the government demanding the suspension of the newly introduced 5% excise tax on locally manufactured plastic products. Well, the association warns of a potential industry-wide shutdown if their demands are not met within 1 week.
At a press conference in Accra, following constant harassment and threats from the Ghana Revenue Authority on the plastic product producers over the new tax, the association, led by its president, Ebobotwe, did not mince words in their criticism of the Ministry of Finance for failing to address their grievances regarding the 5% excise tax on locally manufactured plastic products.
We ask GRA, Ghana Revenue Authority, to stop the harassment of plastic manufacturers and we give government, the Ministry of Finance, 1 week to respond to our request, or we shall have no any other option than for all plastic manufacturers to shut down production for at least 1 week.
The GPMA warns that the tax will lead to significant increases in production costs, which will ultimately be passed on to consumers.
That if this new tax is implemented in its current form, it will bring with it a severe cascading high price effect on prices of products that affect our everyday life.
Additionally, the association highlighted the risk of job losses in an industry that employs thousands of Ghanaians.
Let me also remind government that the plastic industry gives direct employment to over 39,000 people, including auxiliary workers. It generates over 1.89 million jobs in the plastic waste recycling and 1.3 million jobs in the sachet and bottled water.
In other business stories tonight, Georgina Tenge, a victim of the locked-up investment funds debacle, is advising Ghanaians to exercise prudence in their financial decisions. Well, she insists investing in tangible assets such as real estate rather than entrusting hard-earned money to financial institutions. Well, according to her, investing in rental properties yields more profitable and secure returns, unlike some financial institutions that promise attractive yields but ultimately squander investors' funds.
Georgina, a member of the largely retiree group, believes if Ghanaians invest in landed property, it will go a long way to secure their finances and also generate sustainable income streams.
If you have money, you have some land paid, and then if you have some people that will rent it, then you can use it for your collateral and whatever and be getting small in future. There's no profit doing any investment in Ghana here.
The locked-up funds are gravely affecting the members of the forum. One such affected member is Patience Odoi, whose daughter has had to stop schooling to accompany her anytime the group is out to demand for their money.
Yes, because 6 years now, our funds are locked up. We cannot access our funds. As of now, she's at home because I can't pay her fees. So I asked her to join me to the protest so that people will know that this thing is affecting us badly. I go to Kweku every month at the cardio department for my treatment. Now it's difficult for me to honor my appointments. So what will happen to me? They don't want me to die and leave my money with them.
The four distressed financial institutions include NDK Financial Services, SDC Financial Services, SIC Life Savings and Loans, and Bond Savings and Loans.
A big thank you to Bill's Microcredit for making it possible for us to bring you business. Benghazi is all set with the latest from our world of sports. Good evening, Benghazi.
Good evening to you, Kweku. I've got some news on transfers involving Ghanaian players. Some boxing heavyweight division as AJ is built to bout or fight Daniel Dubois in September. Plus the updates on the Euros all coming up in sports after this. So two-time world heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua will face Daniel Dubois for the IBF heavyweight title at Wembley Stadium on September 21. Now this comes after heavyweight world champion Alexander Usyk announced on Tuesday that he had vacated the IBF belt, which means Joshua can now regain one of the belts he previously held if he defeats Dubois, who has been upgraded from the IBF interim title holder to the IBF champion now. Now this is world-renowned boxing announcer Michael Buffer announcing the bout earlier today. And that's it for sports.
Alright, so I might not be able to do it like Obedi, but when it comes to your news, I make sure I deliver. On behalf of the entire production team tonight, we would want to salute you. Bulletin led by Mr. Lancer, and we would want to say, bring the family together and show you brush with Pepsodent. A very good evening. Enjoy your evening.